Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And as you can see, we're back here at Undercaste Studios. Shout out for having us, as always. And now, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hello, I'm Livi Hendrixx.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do? Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
I'm Livi Hendrixx, Afro artist based in Seattle, but I'm originally from West Africa.
Okay, cool.
I've been doing music for about 6-7 years now as far as recording.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been in the music scene, growing up, as a child, just writing, singing, mimicking, all the songs. But it really took me having my daughter to actually get in the studio and actually put in the work, and actually recorded my first ever professionally track here at Undercaste.
Gotcha. Oh, hell yeah.
With Eric. So yeah, and music has been a blessing since then. I've been very fortunate to work with, a lot of bigger artists and platforms,
Yeah. Well, we'll get into more of what you're doing now in a moment. Let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
What got you into music initially?
What got me into music initially is just I guess the love for music, and the way I listen to music, I listen to music from a different perspective and a different ear,
Mm-hmm.
I listen to music not, the way I feel like most regular people do, because I listen past the beats, the words, look for different things in music. And I felt like, the way people were portraying music, especially Afro music, felt like was getting out of, out of hand or out of scale, and I felt like I needed to pull my input, and there was a lot I got to say as far as love, and just consciousness, that I had to share. And I felt like, I had to get in the studio and finally, make something happen.
Yeah. Well, even before you got in the studio, when you were younger, did you, were you doing stuff with music then?
Well, with then, I was into music because of my parents, My mom loves music, she's a huge Anita Baker fan,
Mm-hmm.
And my dad loves music, he loves, all the reggae, Bob Marley, Joseph Hills, all the reggae legends. So I've always just been around music, and I'm very fortunate to be influenced by so many different kind of music. And I feels like that's what got me here, and that's what shaped me to the kind of musician that I am,
Gotcha.
Because when you listen to my music, you can feel the frequency from all over the world, from the beats, from the lingo, from everything, because I'm just been fortunate and blessed to be influenced by so many music around me, different kind of music.
Hell yeah, I dig that. Now, before we get into more of what you do in the present day,
Right.
I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on.
Absolutely.
And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite.
Right.
What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question. I would say it was probably P Square. They're from Nigeria.
Okay.
They really started the Afro, the Afro thing,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they are kind of like the people that paved the way, for these new generations, So it was definitely probably P Square's, album. I remember buying the CD from back home, and even bought it with the words, with the lyrics, so you can actually sing along,
Yeah.
So it probably would have been that.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
I was probably when my probably one of my biggest influences from back home. He's a rapper, Cowdenero, based in Philadelphia, but he's originally from Sierra Leone, same spot I am. I've always looked up to him, like lyrically, just the way he carried himself, so when he came from the States, was doing a show back home, and I told my mom, I was like, I wanted to go see that, but it was a night I was, I was a youngin', so she's like, there's no way, But eventually I had to sneak, I was like, I gotta go see my guy, so it was the first live show that I went to, and it was really good, and it just started from there, I was like, you know what, I want to be that, I want to move the crowd like that, you know what I mean, like, so yeah.
Oh yeah. And then when did you move here from over there?
Sierra Leone. I moved here in 2017.
Okay.
I came here, under my pops. My pops been living in the state and works here. And originally I was in Maryland. Spending time there with family and friends. And I came to Washington to visit, and it rained for like a week straight. And I was like, I'm not going back. I love this place.
Yeah.
I love the rain. So.
I mean, if you like the rain, you're going to love this place for sure. That's one of the main things.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. Well, now let's go ahead then. Let's, excuse me, let's go ahead and get on into you in the present day.
Let's do that.
We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
Well, like you said, that was a very easy one. I've always, like I told you about my influence in music, Like Livi Hendrixx is a huge part of my influence, and being in the Northwest makes it even better, But, so the last name came from that, and the Levi is something that I've just been racking, since I could remember, and yeah, it used to be Levi something else, Levi something else, but the Hendrixx I felt like just makes more sense, you know what I mean? So yeah, I came up with that. Just off the random, I was like Livi Hendrixx.
Hey, if it works, it works, and it's a cool name for sure.
Definitely.
And I'm glad that is the case, because that's kind of what I thought of when I heard it. I was like, I wonder if this is a kind of a spin-off of that. So that's
definitely.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit, and we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music.
Right.
What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Well, I'll tell you what. One thing about me is that I get inspired by everything. I get inspired by a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, I could be happy and make music. I could be sad and make music. I can be in any mood and make music. I feel like one of my biggest inspiration is just the urge. Sometimes, I sit down and be like, man, it's that FMO, fear of missing out or fear of failing. FOF. And I be the type of artist, I go in the studio, I record a song. As soon as I record 2 or 3 songs, I was like, nah, those songs are old to me. Because they're done, Yeah. Now I need to write new ones. And it's the same process as when I drop an album. Like when I was in the process of this 2 months trying to drop the Flawless 2, I feel like I haven't really sat down and write like I normally do, even though I still do, just because I'm a maniac. I love writing, I'm obsessed with writing. But as soon as our project is dropped, and I'm 11 songs short from my arsenal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my mindset is I need to get those 11 songs put back, like whatever way. So I feel like, with me, I get inspired, like I said, like all the time, by things around me, by the simplest thing. I could be listening to something on the radio, someone say a word that I've never heard. I'm very curious, I'll look it up, find that meaning. That word might be an inspiration. I might be listening to a song, that song beat might be inspiration, but yeah, as far as times of writing, I do like writing at night a lot, you know what I mean? Because I feel like it just calms everything down. I have a daughter, when the kids are asleep, you're more peaceful, But yeah, as far as inspiration, I get inspired by anything, it literally just takes me a pen and a paper.
Yeah.
And I'll cook wherever I'm at.
And that's actually part of the next question. Do you usually, when it comes to putting down the words, are you always pen and paper? Are you putting it in the phone?
I am more tradition. I like putting in pen and paper. Because I did started writing on the phone, but there's just so much distraction.
Yeah.
And the way I look at phone writing and writing with a pen, it's more like, when a woman has a kid and you breastfeed one of the kids and the other kid go to a bottle, you can probably tell the difference from those.
I mean, I'd have to take your word for it on that one.
I feel like it's more it's more natural. You know, you feel more tied and more in tune to your songs when you're writing them. You feel me? Because me, when I write them in pen and paper, it's easier for me to sync them in my head than when I have them on my phone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
and are you always doing pen or like pencil or like it?
I do whatever comes to mind. I even use my daughter's crayon just so I don't forget it. You feel me?
No, I dig that.
Just get it out of the way.
And then as far as like beat selection goes, are you getting them off the internet? Do you have somebody who makes beats for you? How do you come across?
I get my beats all over the place. I get my beats all over the world. You know, I do have someone that make beats for me here in Seattle. You know. And I do get most of my beats off online. You know, I work with producers all over the world. You know, from India to Nigeria to Ghana to Australia. You know, I actually just met another producer. He's from Zurich. You know.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. So I work with producers from all over the place because I feel like the different sound. I've always been intrigued. You know, come around. Grow up around different music, so different sounds intrigue me. You know, so. I'm really not fixed or set on one, like producer as far as beat. You know, the only person I'm loyal to right now is just Eric out on Undercaste as far as, mixing and mastering. But with my beat, I'm all over the place.
Oh, yeah. No, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be like recorded yet, but you're ready to like memorize it.
Right.
How long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform a track?
Oh, like immediately.
Okay.
When I write stuff right now, I'll be able to go record it next door.
Okay.
That's why I think writing is so important to me, because when I'm writing, it's almost like I'm writing that in my brain.
Yeah.
It's like cementing, every single word. So as far as getting melody and writing, that comes that comes with when I'm writing as well. You feel me? So if I'm writing it, you best believe I'm ready to go knock it out as soon as I'm done writing it.
Okay. And then as soon as you like finish writing it, are you basically ready to perform it as well?
Well, performing really, I guess you have to finish writing it and recording it and performing it, Performing it is a different process because, I do have a team around me that I consult with, that kind of help me in figuring out songs that matches the occasion, you feel me? So not every song that I'm finished writing, I'm ready to perform, So it really takes a process as far as recording and having the right song for the right occasion.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Well, then let's go ahead. Then let's talk about some of your music. So I jumped on, ye old Spotify,
right,
and you've got music going all the way back to 2021.
Yes.
And your sound is a vibe. Like even your early tracks, like James Harden, solid groove. Big fan. The beat slaps.
Thank you.
Time with is it Wiley? Willie. Okay. Is another one, and who like that seems to be the primary person you're doing features with.
That is. So yeah. I'm actually gonna. Take a time and talk about my people real quick, because I'm a family man, as far as music and everything, So Willie is my blood brother, Willie's actually like my blood brother, my younger brother. I do a lot of stuff with Willie, he's in the military, he comes home once in a while, and it's just a vibe, man. Working with Willie, he's like I say, he's my little brother, the most humble person, like always open to my crazy ideas, And yeah, I got him into music. I remember recording my first ever track. I came home and I woke up the next morning. This guy's still singing the track. So he's just always being like a brother, a fan, inspirational to me as well. Because he's doing something that I've always wanted to do, but not have the patience for, as far as learning how to make beats and mastering and all that. So he's doing all that as well.
Okay.
So he's definitely a core member of my team, and my brother Benny. I do a lot of songs with him as well. You can see on the features, So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Benny 17 is the other person. Yeah,
Benny 17, he's my brother, and that basically my team, and those people, mean a lot to me. They help me basically get to where I get to. I know I push them a lot as far as just the mentality. Benny always says, "You're the Kobe, I am the Shaq," because he has the physical tools. He can sing. Benny's the best singer that I've ever been around.
Yeah.
And with me, what separates me is just the work ethic, man. I would leave the studio here and go home and work. I'll get into a fight with my baby mama or my lady. But it's just fear of failure. FOF. Like I don't want to be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
I want people to remember me for multiple songs. I want people to remember me for multiple albums. So. That's my goal at the end of the day, dropping a project and talk to different people and tell me their song from the album is different from everyone else. You feel me?
No, totally.
That's my goal. You know, when I talk to you, I'll be like, hey, what's your favorite song from Flawless? You'd be like, oh, so and so. Talk to that person. Be like, Los Angeles, talk to that person, come over. I feel more gratitude in that than anything, because that's like when I set up to make music, that's what I set up to make, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a one-hit wonder, you know, how people drop a project and promote one song.
No, totally.
Because that's where they bag all the money on, you know. I'm bagging my money in all my projects because I put the time and work in it.
No, and it definitely shows. Like I said, I was checking out all your music, and it's all really tight. But your most recent album, Flawless 2,
Right.
which in the now came out a few weeks ago. By the time this comes out, it'll be, I believe, a little over a month.
Right.
But it's no exception. It's super solid. With the exception of the very first and the very last track, it's all very lax. It's a lot more dialed in, and I think really concise. It's a really well put together album, and for sure one of your tightest works.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've took so much time, you know, I've never put so much time in a project like I did with this Flawless 2, you know, and it definitely shows, you know. I've seen it from the reviews and the numbers, you know. And yeah, definitely, you know, I've been working on Flawless 2 for the last 2 years, you know. Like I had over 40 songs for this project, so it was really hard to just settle with what I did, you know. I started with, Flawless 1 was an EP. It had 6 songs, so I was gonna do Flawless 2 as that. Then it got to 8 songs, then it got to 10. And I was like, you know, why not just do it 11, add an extra track on there, you know?
I dig that.
So, like I said, it's just the work ethic and just the timing and actually going to the studio over and over, you know, when I hear something, you know. Because it's starting, you know, we were just excited to release stuff, you know, when even if it's a little, we're like, we can get over that, you know. Flawless, I was just so particular. Whatever sound, you know, whatever I did not like in there, I was able to come back, you know, and reworked out with Eric multiple times over and over, you know, and shout out to Eric, you know, being patient and just, you know, open to my crazy ideas, you know. I feel like we was able to make something magical.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the theme of this place. They're very good about like taking the time for the music.
Definitely.
And really kind of seeing the bigger picture.
Definitely.
So, and again, it shows. It's a really good album.
Appreciate that. Definitely.
But now I'm curious to know, what do you got cooking? What's what can we expect as far as like new stuff coming out? You said you're always working.
There's a lot. Honestly, my schedule as far as releasing is so tight, you know, as far as next year. So I'm definitely dropping something, you know, for New Year's Eve. It's just a single, you know, featuring Benny. We got that already in work. And like I told you, you know, we are a team here, you know, it's Dream Team and Hendrixx movement, you know, and I'm trying to have basically some of my people and my artists actually stop dropping their own project as far as solo, you know. So my next project, basically after the single on New Year's Eve, will be an album coming, you know, by Benny. Definitely going to be a few songs featuring me. But my next focus now after the Flawless and that single will be Benny. And we're trying to drop something by February 14th on Valentine's.
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah. I dig that.
Yeah, definitely.
I dig that. Now, I did skip over a question, so I want to circle back to it. Now that we've talked about some of your music, I am curious to know, what are some of your favorite ones to perform?
Ooh. Well, my favorite songs to perform would be vibey songs, you know, danceable songs.
Yeah.
I mean, all my music is vibey, I would say, you know, but, you know, you do have some songs where like they're more chill and listening than performing, you know, so when I perform, I like to hype the song because I like to keep the crowd going, you know, so I like most of my, you know, like for my last project, The Chosen, you know, I did perform Lover, you know. There was this Afro artist, you know, one of the biggest Afro artists in the world right now, you know, Raymar, you know, out of 1 billion streams, you know.
Yeah.
He came to Seattle, I did a show with him, you know, I did perform, you know, some of the tracks from the Flawless project, you know, it's just, you know, like uppity songs, you know, like Cinderella, you know, like The Lover, you know, just uppity tracks, you know. I do love to get the crowd, you know, get the crowd hyped, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And now I want to take a moment, then I want to zoom out. I want to look at more kind of music as a whole.
For sure.
What are some of the things about either new music, if you're one of those people taking in the new,
right,
or at the very least music that's new to you, that you found recently, that you enjoy and you're finding inspiration in at the moment?
Man, I don't really want to sound like cocky or anything, but I spend more time, especially the last 2-3 years, listening to my music than anything else. even though I do find inspiration in anything, like it could be a random songs on the radio, the most time I have now as far as listening to, new music or people's music is literally when I go out, go out to the hookah bar or club,
Yeah.
and I'd be around the Afro scene. So they play a song, but as far as people in the Afro industry right now that really influence me, or I feel like their sound really makes more sense, would be someone like Keith Daniels, Raymar that I did the show with, very vibey, just, they know how to get the crowd lit, and yeah, I mean, like I said, I get inspired by everything, but as far as, looking after album or every, I really don't have the time for that anymore, to be honest.
I got you. Yeah, definitely putting in the work all the time.
Definitely, so I spend less time, looking at new music and more time in creating my own music.
I got you. I dig that.
I get people in my car, I feel like.
Yeah.
I give them the offers. Like, hey, if you want the aux cord, you can connect to the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be playing my music or empty beats, Sometimes I just play empty beats and ride around, because my brain's constantly working, So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, before we move into the next part, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview. But, we've talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions.
Right.
But when it's just you and music, one-on-one,
right,
what does music give back to you?
Well, music gives me a lot of joy. Mm-hmm. Music gives me a lot of joy. It's like I be telling my friend Benny, my brother, I was like, how most people,
mm-hmm.
you go out, you get excited. For example, like Ben, you'd be excited to be home. If the kids are not around, to go like listen to a podcast or play video games. Or I go out, have a long day at work. I'm like, I can't wait to get home and go write music.
Yeah.
Because when I really write music and listen to beats, I feel like my mind it's in a free space. I don't think about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a drug in a way when people medicate, they don't feel pain. I feel like music is that for me, when I'm just zoned out in that beat, that time, one-on-one, it's just me and music, I don't feel nothing else besides just a free space, joy, just, like an open world, where everything is possible, it's all just happy,
Oh, yeah.
And that's what music does to me. Music makes me really happy.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a cool take on it, because I get a lot of people who are like, oh, when I'm having a bad day, it lets me process the feeling, or like when I'm trying to figure out this or that. But the common answer is not always, it just makes me feel good.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah, and that's really cool. I appreciate you.
Not only making it, but even listen to my music,
Yeah.
Because I'm a student of the game, man. I learn from my mistake. I learn from my mistake. I learn from other people's mistake. So it's better than just.
No, I feel you. Yeah. I feel you. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Right.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
That's a good one. That's a really good one. If I could work with one person right now, I'll have to say Rema, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, just the fact that his style is just different, the way he connects with the crowd, stage performance, stage awareness, stage presence,
Mm-hmm.
and just everything, like I said, I was very fortunate, to share a stage with that person.
Yeah.
So definitely a dream would be working with someone like him,
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Did you make any like point of connection with them when you got to perform with them?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We was able to meet backstage and all that, but I mean, those people,
it's a little hard just to be like, hey, let me get your number.
Definitely.
Well, hey, I'm sure it'll happen if you've already
definitely. I was able to tap in with his tour managers on Instagram, so we still connect, to this day. So
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
And then who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Definitely Larry June.
Mm-hmm.
He's based in Seattle here.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight. Came across him on IG and we followed each other.
Mm-hmm.
I fuck with his music, make rap music. Feel like little different lane out for me, but I'm versatile enough where I feel like I could work with anyone, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've worked with people similar, you know. I've worked with 28 Ave, you know, one of the biggest rap artists in Seattle. He's done songs with Moneybagg You and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but as far as having worked with yet that I kind of do fuck with their music would be that person, Larry John.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know what to do. Add him in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Definitely.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense.
Right.
But if you could perform anywhere in the world, you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power. It was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. It doesn't have to be a venue either. It could be anywhere.
Gotta be MSG, man. Madison Square Garden.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a dream, you know. I've waited all my life to go to New York because I want to go to New York and perform.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that day.
It's a cool place.
It is.
That was the dream for me to do this show on, and then another podcast, Kill Tony, beat me to it.
Really
so now my next one is Red Rocks, but Madison Square Garden is like that's like such a good place to like know you've made it. You know what I mean?
It's a mecca of sports, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if you're there, you know, like it's a mecca of arts, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like one of the best like performance
arena, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many stuff that goes down there. So yeah, that would definitely be one. You feel me? So.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
Joseph Hills.
Okay, hell yeah.
He's a root reggae, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I've been influenced by so many artists.
Yeah.
He's an artist that my dad loves and admire, you know. And that would definitely be one person that I would want to hear back from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph Hills.
Oh, yeah, that's a great choice.
Only people got to tap in, you know. Mixed culture music, you know.
Yeah, very much so.
It's all feel-good music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. You already kind of mentioned it before, but what can we look forward to between now and June?
Just a lot of work, man. Just a lot of work, you know. I know I said earlier, as far as from now until New Year, it probably just be a single. Then Benny's project on February 14th. Well, don't let that fool you, camera. Because I might surprise you with an EP the next coming days or the next month. So we definitely have a lot of works in progress, you know, and I would definitely keep you in mind as far as sharing, you know, good news, please. As far as, more projects. So I would just tell the crowd to be on the lookout, you know?
Yeah.
We're always working, man. We're always cooking.
Oh, yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and look at your camera then? Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can always tap in on IG, you know, Levi, it's L-I-V-I. I know it sounds confusing, you know, people would be tapping it as L-E-V-I. It's L-I-V-I, Hendrixx with a double X, you know. You can find me on Instagram, Apple Music, on every major streaming platform, you know. I'm not on SoundCloud yet, but definitely I'm trying to make it on there. But I'm on every major platform. You can look me up, Livi Hendrixx, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I figured you spelled it Levi just like Jimmy, J-I-M-I.
It's Levi, L-I-V-I.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Definitely.
All right. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to my team. Shout out to my brother Benny 17. Shout out to Willie. Shout out to Miss James. You know, she's my new artist. You know, I was trying to have her here today, but unfortunately she's flying out to Philly for some work. So just shout out to the whole team. You know, shout out to everyone that's been believing me since the starting of this process. You know, and shout out to God, man. Without God, you know, nothing is possible. So, you know, shout out to God.
Thanks. All right. With that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Yes, sir.
But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Let's do that.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Raw Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Right.
But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
It would be Love is Rock by Sade.
Hell yeah. Oh, what a good rec. Oh my gosh.
It would be Love is Rock by Sade. You know, I was fortunate to come across the music not too long ago. And I was like, man, you know, why is she not making any more music, you know? She's a very special person, you know, and she just talks to the soul.
Yeah.
When I listen to her music, not the kind of music I want to make. You know, I want to make soulful music.
Yeah.
And it would be Love is Rock by Sade. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out, you know.
That is a phenomenal rec.
Definitely.
All right, but with that being said, we're going to go and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Livi Hendrixx.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.